You may be seated. Please remain quiet.
Thank you. All jurors are here. Stipulate to everyone present. Good morning. I first want to thank you for taking the time to serve as jurors in this case. I know that you've taken time out of your personal lives, some of you from your work lives. Please know that your time here is not wasted. It is appreciated, especially by those who are going to be coming before you looking for justice from you. Now, the defendant in this case is charged with 10 counts. He's charged with 3 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. This is for the premeditated killing with a gun of Alunte Davis, Timothy Blancher, and Paris Cameron. He is charged with an additional 2 counts of assault with intent to murder for using a firearm to assault with intent to murder the 2 survivors in this case, that being Clifton Keys and Armand Matthews. There are 5 additional counts. Those are for using a firearm during the commission of a felony. So this is, you're going to refer to this as felony firearm. So there's a companion count, a gun count, felony firearm for each murder count and assaulted count in this case. Now, when you go back in the jury, when we are done presenting our case, you're only going to have one issue that you have to talk about. One issue, and that's identification. The identification of the shooter and killer in this case. And we're going to go back to May 25th, 2019, to the early Saturday morning hours between 2 and 5 a.m. You're going to learn there were a group of friends that were hanging out from that Friday night going into Saturday morning. That was Alunte Davis, Timothy Blancher, Paris Cameron, Clifton Keys, Armand Matthews, and you're going to hear about 2 additional people that were hanging out with them those early morning hours, that being Brendan Settles and Lance Atterbury. And you're going to learn that they were all hanging out at 3474 Devonshire in the city of Detroit. This is a home, and it belongs to Lance Atterbury. At the time, it was under construction. It was being renovated. And you're going to learn that around 2:30 in the morning, Blair decided to take his car with Alunte, Timothy, and Paris to the BP gas station that was about 2 blocks away from the Devonshire house, so very, very close on the east side. Blair's going to tell you that he decided to drive there rather than walk because he didn't feel safe walking on the east side. So everybody gets in the car. In fact, you're going to hear that they've been partying hard all night. At one point, they had disturbed one of the neighbors on Haverhill, Miss Brink, Tiffany Brink. You're going to hear from her in this case, around 10:30 or 11, that she'd actually fired a shot in the air to try to get them to be quiet in this case. So anyways, Blair decides that he's going to drive them to the BP gas station 2 blocks away, and it's on the corner of Buckingham and Mack Avenue. Right, there's going to be, you're going to see a map in this case. We're going to be doing 2 square blocks in the city. Very, very close together. So there's going to be Mack and Buckingham where the BP gas station is. Buckingham is behind the BP gas station. You're going to learn that the defendant lives on Buckingham, just a few houses behind the gas station. Buckingham then runs into Brunswick. It's a dark residential street that then runs into Devonshire, which is just 2 blocks away, and then Devonshire again into Mack. So we're talking about literally 2 square blocks. The street in the middle is Haverhill. That's the one that Ms. Brink lives on. So you're going to learn that when these 4 individuals go to the BP gas station, it's a Project Greenlight place. So there's cameras everywhere. You only have audio where the clerk is, no audio anywhere else. But you're going to see this Greenlight video, and you're going to see that this is where these individuals, for the first time, come into contact with the defendant, Devon Robinson. You're going to see Paris Cameron. Paris is a transgender woman. You're going to see her coming on to the defendant flirting with her, and there's a lot of back and forth. And Blair's going to tell you about what was happening in that gas station, what he was witnessing, and what he was seeing. So you're going to learn that the defendant is in there, he and Paris are flirting with each other, they're talking. You're going to see the inside of the camera, the inside of the gas station, the outside of the gas station, and then you're going to hear from where the clerk is, the defendant, as he's paying for something, you're going to hear him conversing with the clerk, pretty happy, and the 2 of them are laughing. They're like, they're gay, they're gay. You're going to hear that very clearly. You're going to learn that once the 4 individuals leave, Blair's trying to get Paris to come. Paris is trying to wave down the defendant. She's telling them where they're going, just 2 blocks away on Devonshire. And you're going to see the defendant, he leaves the gas station, and when he does so, you're going to see him walk back towards his house. He's wearing these light clothes, walks to his house, turns around, walks back towards the gas station, stops, goes back to his house, stops, back to the gas station, And then you're going to see him turn around again, walk right past his house towards Haverhill, and you'll see again on the green light video when he comes back to the gas station, and you're going to see him kind of throwing his arms up in the air, and that's because at that time Blair's driving the car around trying to find his wallet that he's lost. Ultimately, the defendant ends up walking himself over to Devonshire, where Paris has invited him to. And when the defendant arrives over in Devonshire, Blair's going to tell you Paris was over the moon. She was completely excited to see him. You're going to learn that Armand Matthews would stay behind at the house, was not in the gas station, that he sees the defendant, and he realizes that he knows him. Doesn't know his name, but that he knows him from school when he was younger. Armand grew up in this neighborhood. Armand is going to tell you that he actually moved out of this neighborhood because he's a gay male, and this was not a place where he felt he could live peaceably. Armand's going to tell you he sees the defendant. You're going to learn that the defendant's ultimately taken upstairs to the house in Devonshire, and you're going to hear upstairs that the defendant receives oral sex from several people in the house, some of them at the same time, some of them by themselves. So you're going to hear that he receives oral sex from Paris Cameron, Lance Atterbury, Alunte Davis, Armand Matthews, and Blair's going to tell you that he comes up at one point, and he's watching what's going on, and that the defendant kind of indicates to him, you want to join in? And Blair says, no, I like to receive, not give. And Blair's going to tell you the whole time, they're laughing, they're giggling, and they're saying to the defendant, oh, he is gay, he is gay. Blair's going to tell you the defendant is something what's known as a trait. A trait is someone who holds themselves out as heterosexual, but has interest in people of the same sex, but they're on the down low. So they're referring to him as a trait, and then they're laughing, giggling, performing oral sex, and saying, oh, he is gay, he is gay. Eventually, the defendant leaves, and Paris is seeing him off out the front door. Paris is happy. Blair's going to tell you he's watching their interaction. And the defendant is standing there just completely blank. And Blair is watching this happening. He never thought it was a good idea to bring a stranger home from the gas station in the first place, and even complained about it to the homeowner, Lance Atterbury. So the defendant leaves, and you're going to learn that Brendan Settles, who did not participate in this, he was kind of dating Armand Matthews at the time, and he starts to get into an argument with Armand about everything that's happened. He's kind of jealous. He thinks that maybe his boyfriend likes Blair. He doesn't know what's been going on upstairs, and they start to have a verbal argument. So now we have Blair, Armand, and Brendan engaging in this verbal argument. So Brendan decides to leave. He doesn't have a car, so he says, Lance, take me home. Lance is too drunk to drive. So Lance gets in his car because he's not going to let Brendan just take his car. Lance gets in the car, falls asleep. Brendan drives over to the other side of the city where his mother lives. His mother lets them in. This time his mother's telling him, no, you can't stay here with a strange guy. You got to take that guy home. Meanwhile, back on Devonshire, Blair has lost his wallet. They go back to the store, his friends go back to the store, retrieve his wallet. They're not back in the house for 10 or 15 minutes. We're now getting to about between 4:50 a.m. and 5 a.m. They're again drinking and having fun. It's just at this time, Alunte, Timothy, Paris, Armand, and Blair. 5 of them. And they're sitting around this card table and they're laughing and they're drinking. And Blair and Armand are going to tell you all of a sudden they hear gunshots. They first think it's firecrackers. They're having fun, not thinking that something's going to happen to them. And they're sitting there and they hear gunshot after gunshot. They immediately think, fireworks, what's going on? They look up and they see a man with a mask. And he's firing at them. Everyone at that table flees that table, and it is a massacre. You're going to hear that Blair runs into the bathroom, shuts the door. He's hearing screaming. Paris is being shot. Alunte is being shot. They are slumped against the wall of the bathroom. It's drywall, and Blair's going to tell you he could see the blood coming in through the bathroom and hear the screaming, his friends screaming and being shot to death. You're going to hear that Timothy and Armand run to the basement. And Armand's going to tell you that when they get to the bottom of the stairs that Timothy's motioning to himself. And Armand realizes that he's shot and his friend collapses there. 4:58 a.m. or when the 911 call starts. And Armand is trying to save his friend's life. They're trying to instruct him how to put pressure on the wounds, and you're going to hear Armand, he's hysterical, and he's trying to save Timothy. You're going to hear the 911 call coming in upstairs, 4:58. And you're going to hear that Blair is also trying to stop his friend Paris from dying. So Alunte has passed. Alunte and Paris are slumped together against the wall on the other side of that bathroom. And Paris is still breathing, and he's trying to put pressure on her wounds. He's also just hysterical. The police arrive within 7 minutes. Very, very quick response time. And you're going to learn that Detective Williams and her crew, they immediately start canvassing the area, trying to figure out what happened. And they find that there is a camera across the street on Devonshire. Now this camera is motion sensor activated. It is not set up to catch what's going on across the street. That's not what triggers the motion in recording. It's more immediate to that camera, because that camera's set up for that yard. But we got lucky. Really, really lucky. Because something triggered that motion camera just a few seconds before at 4:57, you're going to see a figure running out of that house. 4:57, just a very short time before there's 911 calls start coming in from Claire, Vermont. And you're going to see that figure come running off the porch, head down Devonshire to that dark residential street of Brunswick that connects it to Buckingham. So that's the direction the shooter flees. So while this is happening, they've got Blair, they've got Armand, homicide's interviewing them, they're trying to figure out what happened, this video is being pulled, they know they got someone running out of the house at 4:57, they know Blair is still in the house, they know Armand is still in the house, they're calling 911, they're trying to save their friends, and at this time we've got Lance and Brendan returning to the scene because Brendan's mom would not let them stay at their house. Lance gets back, he can't even go in his house, it's a crime scene, Brendan's not allowed near it, the police are trying to figure out what's going on. You're going to hear that Brendan and Lance immediately, they talk to the police when they're asked, they give them buccal swabs, they give them their cell phones, they're doing everything they can to figure out what happened in that house. And Detective Williams is realizing, all right, we've got somebody running out, 4:57 a.m., running in the direction of Buckingham, and everyone that they're interviewing is telling them about a stranger that was picked up at the gas station. So now she's trying to find that stranger. She pulls that green light video, and on that video, they find the defendant. Defendant now needs to be interviewed. They try to find the defendant. They know that he lives at 3440 Buckingham, but he's gone. He doesn't live there anymore. He and his mom moved out within 24 hours of the shooting. So now they are publicizing this green light video. They're trying to find this sixth person that was in the house that night. They got to find him. They got to talk to him. He suddenly moved out of the neighborhood. And they do another canvass. And it's all over the media. 2 gay males killed, 1 trans woman, and the defendant's gone. They do a canvass and they find that there's video across the street from the defendant's house on Buckingham. Again, this is surveillance that belongs to another residential house. And you're going to see that this video captures at we're going back to 4 a.m. 4 a.m. you can see the defendant walking home on that green light video. Again, on Mac, 4 a.m., coming back from Devonshire towards Buckingham, and you're going to see the defendant stop. He gags, he spits, gags, he spits. And then you're going to see him go into the gas station, and instead of this back and forth with the clerk that you saw earlier in the night, he kind of tosses some money on the counter, he purchases something, walks off towards Buckingham. That camera across the street is going to catch him going into his house at 4:03, and then guess what? 4:53 a.m., a figure emerges from that house on Buckingham. 4:53 a.m., and that figure going in the direction of Brunswick, that dark street that connects Buckingham and Devonshire. And then we get that camera on Devonshire. Remember, it's motion activated. We don't get anyone going in. There's a 4-minute gap because what goes on across the street doesn't trigger that camera. Got lucky. 4:57, figure coming out, running back towards Buckingham, and guess what? 5:01 a.m., figure entering defendant's house again. So the police are looking for the defendant in this case. They find him about a week and a half later over on Claremont, other side of the city. He's squatting there with 2 other people. Mom's not with him. And when they find him, his hair is different, and he's wearing these red shorts. That's going to become important later. And they take him into the station, and they interview him. Now remember, at this time, it's been all over the media. 2 gay men, 1 trans woman killed, hate crime. Defendant's you're gonna hear, he's seen it, he knows what's going on, it's all over the news, he's hiding out on the other side of the city. And so he starts to talk to the police about what happens. And I want you to watch this video, and I want you to watch how he acts when he talks to the police. You are not one time gonna see any amount of shock, surprise, sympathy, or empathy that people that he had just been hanging out with were slaughtered. There's gonna be nothing, it's gonna be flat. And you're gonna hear the defendant talking about how, yeah, he knows it's on the news. First of all, he doesn't know, not sure why he's there. And then you're going to hear him admit, because you're going to see the officers coming at him trying to interrogate him. And you're going to hear them talking about, well, something must have been done to you. Was something done to you? Were you violated? And they're doing this puffery. They're saying, oh, we know these people. They're bad. We've been watching. None of that's true. Okay? They're trying to get him to admit what happened. And he knows that he's been on the media for interacting with this transgender woman and flirting with her. And so they're telling him, we got your DNA at the scene. Now look, not CSI, we do not get DNA within a week and a half. It takes months to do testing. And so they're trying to admit, okay, yeah, I had oral sex with Paris, just Paris. I ejaculated it on her. Yeah, just Paris. You won't hear him admit to having any kind of interaction with anyone else in the house. You are going to hear that we get the defendant's DNA on Timothy Blancher in this case. So the defendant then says, all right, I am gay, but my family doesn't know. My pops will disown me. What will my uncle say? What will my mother say? I don't want anybody to know. Nobody knows. And ultimately, he admits that he was there that night, that he came home, and after the oral sex with Paris, he didn't leave the house again. Never left the house again. You're going to get some calls in this case. Going to a few days later, and I want you to listen to the tone of these calls. See, every time that you make a call from the Wayne County Jail, you are told that you're being monitored and recorded. Every time. Okay? So every time the defendant makes a call, he and his family members know, I'm listening. We're listening. And we're going to get this call, this emotional call, on June 15th. June 12th and June 15th. So June 12th, you're going to see this call with his mother, kind of this dance. I know, I don't know, I know, I don't know. And mom's yelling at him. Everything making me mad, saying you effing with N's. Meaning you're messing with men. She uses the N-word. I'm not going to use that word. And you're going to hear the defendant say, yeah, that pisses me off. Mom's screaming, yeah, they're making it seem like a hate crime. And you hear the defendant, Mom, that hate crime's going to be out the window. I told him I was gay, so that hate crime's going to be out the window. And Mom kind of stops. Oh, well, you know if you are, you can come to me, right? No, and you're going to hear him say, I'm not. No, Mom is actually a lesbian. Mom lives with a woman, okay? But you're going to hear her kind of stop and be taken aback, and she's at first yelling at him about messing with men. Then you hear the defendant talk about his mother's yelling at him, you know, this could be a life sentence, the penalty for murder, and you're going to hear the defendant trying to stop him. He's like, all right, you know, if it comes down to it, you know, like 25 years, and the mom cuts him off again. And she's going on. And then you're going to hear the defendant complain about his location, somebody giving him up where he was. And you're going to hear Mom yelling at him for wearing those red shorts out on the porch when he's supposed to be laying low. You're also going to hear them talk about Sabrina Bates. Sabrina Bates lived with the mother in this case, okay, on Buckingham. And you're going to learn that the police interviewed her and that she told the police that Saturday morning, Devon left around 9 or 10 a.m., never returned to return again, and that the mother subsequently moved out after. You're also going to learn that Sabrina Bates told them that the defendant was using her phone. Now this becomes important. You're going to hear in this call from June 15th, where the defendant is talking with his uncle about, all right, I finally found out what Sabrina Bates says. Because in that first call, you're going to hear Mom, why is Sabrina Bates talking to the police? And you're going to hear him saying, yeah, put her out of the house, put her out of the house. Why is that woman talking to the police? And they don't know what she said yet because the defendant, you're going to hear, hasn't gotten his discovery package yet. The discovery package is what I give to Mr. Callanan so that he can prepare a defense of his client. And you're going to hear them talking about how they don't know exactly what Sabrina said yet. June 15th, you're going to hear the defendant talking about how he got to talk to Mr. Callanan. He hasn't seen his discovery packet yet, but that Mr. Callanan tells him what Sabrina says. The uncle says, is it good or is it bad? And the defendant says, oh, not either. You know, she said I had her phone for about a week. Now, why is this important? Well, we can't do GPS on your phones. Only you can do that. An act of Congress protects your privacy. But we can look at the cell phone tower. Now, the cell phone towers in this case, that phone is taking out a tower that services both Buckingham and Devonshire. Okay? So the phone's in the area, but it makes a call. It makes a call. 4:50 a.m., just 3 minutes before you're going to see that figure leaving the defendant's house. To the mother. That's not picked up. 4:50 a.m. He's awake. He's up. He's trying to reach Mom. Now we're going to get a lot of other evidence in this case. You're going to have to hear from a bunch of experts, fingerprint experts, DNA, serology, your firearms experts. Your ears are going to bleed. Your eyes are going to glaze over. It's going to be boring. But I need you to know that we've tried, that we do everything. You're going to hear that we fingerprinted those casings. Guess what? No fingerprints. You're going to hear the expert tell you, we don't get fingerprints off casings. He's never in his entire career got a fingerprint off casings. I know when I come in front of you, you expect me to do that. I know you're all home watching CSI and Law and Order. All right, so we're going to talk about what reality is, how we get fingerprints, how we get DNA, how this actually works. And when you leave here, I want you to have good working knowledge of what's real and what's not real. DNA, we are able to get from Timothy Blancher's hands. We're able to get a DNA profile of the defendant. You're going to hear we have other partial profiles. We're going to talk about how DNA, just because I walk around touching things or even spitting on things, you're not necessarily going to get my DNA. There are a lot of reasons for that. There are mixtures. Sometimes we can get a partial profile. We can't tell who it is, but we know there's genetic material there. You're going to hear they swabbed the whole house, that they found rape kits on the victims here, and we're going to talk about how all this evidence works. You're going to hear from a firearms expert who's going to tell you that all the casings that were recovered from the house were fired from the same gun. So it's going to be tedious going through that information, but I need you to know that we do the work and how it actually works. Right? You're going to actually hear the lab tell you that they tell us not to submit casings for DNA swabs because it's futile, but we did it anyways. All right, so at the end of this case, I'm going to ask that you listen to all the evidence, listen to the witnesses, listen to what they say, listen to what happened to them, look at the video, and most importantly, I want you to listen to what the defendant says and how he says it. And at the end of this case, I'm going to ask you to go back in that jury room, and I'm going to ask for justice for Alunte, for surviving victims, Blair and Alunte.